All right. Happy Friday. Good morning, everybody. It is January 30th, so this is the last show of January, which means it's almost baseball season. Right after this Super Bowl happens, typically, that's when you would say it's on. That's when people will be reporting to spring training. A lot of people are down there already, whether it's Florida, Arizona. A lot of things cracking off earlier this year for WBC reasons. So, yeah. It's crunch time. Minor league free agent signing time. If you're a major league free agent, just hold on. Hopefully you get your offer soon. If not, it gets into a very tricky spot here, which I've been in before. I've also not been in, but yeah, it's definitely baseball season as soon as that Super Bowl happens, which is how I always felt. And I often watch the Super Bowl from spring training site, whether I was in Arizona or Florida. So that means it's getting close, which is a little bit scary because I have about 1 month to get ready for WBC as well. So, doing what we can, getting ready as we can. But thank you for joining me today. We're going to kick around a few topics and then basically let the chat decide which direction we go today. That is the plan. First sip of a little coffee today. Very good. Yes, I did get my beans, Josh Foreman. Finally came in the mail after all the snow we had. And we are back. So let's get into it a little bit today. I have some fun stuff to run through and some thinking to do here. So let's get it on. All right. First thing we're going to talk about today is Roki Sasaki. There's been a little bit of scuttlebutt out there on the internet about what's going to happen with this guy. Is he going to, hold on, I'm just checking the numbers here. Is he going to, that's weird. Why is it saying offline? Mine's working, so I don't know. What's going to happen with this guy? He had a crazy year last year. Every team wanted him in free agency. Ended up going to the Dodgers. Goes into the starting rotation. Does not go well. Goes to AAA. They go full reclamation on him, trying to fix him throughout the season. He pops his head up in the last 2 weeks of the season as a late inning reliever. Ends up becoming essentially the Dodger closer through the postseason. But they didn't bring him over here to be a closer. They brought him over here to get maximum value out of this guy. And if you're him, obviously you would definitely prefer to be a starter. That's, where the money is. Obviously, that's where people don't really grow up dreaming to be relievers. Now, closer maybe a little bit, but people grow up and they want to be that starter. So, what are we going to do about Roki? Now that we've gotten to watch him a little bit, I'm going to weigh in here a little bit on my thoughts. I totally agree that it's too early to peg him as a relief pitcher and that there is a ceiling here that screams starter. However, I do think that there's going to have to be an evolution. There's going to have to be some more things added. So let's look at what he's doing right now. These are the 3 pitch types that he features. 4-seamer, very fast 4-seamer, up to 100. And then the splitter, which is really a forkball, which is really, in his case, basically a knuckleball. Along with a handful of other guys, this is the lowest spin rate pitch in the league. It's at times 300 RPM. Basically playing like a knuckleball. Very unpredictable, very hard to command, yet he found a way to do it down the stretch. Now, there is a 16% slider here, and this is what brings us to this question. I saw an interview with Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts proclaimed that if Roki wants to be a major league starter, he needs a third pitch. Obviously, this slider that he's been featuring a little bit early in last season, they do not consider that to be that third pitch. That needs to be a better version of that slider or something else. Then Andrew Friedman was on a podcast either yesterday or the day before, and he said, you know what? He dominated with 2 pitches in MPB. I believe he can dominate with 2 pitches in MLB. So what do I think? Well, I think in a short stint, he has enough to get it done most of the time. The fastball splitter combination is truly deadly. Let's go pull up some of his postseason action. I'm going to go to a Phillies game because there's a game here that he pitched like 3 innings, basically perfect out of the pen. I don't know if that's this game or not, but we're going to pull up. This is only a 2-pitch game, so we got to find another one. But he was filthy, and the 2 pitches are elite, and they are electric. I do think there's something to be said for having a more diverse mix, and I'm going to tell you why in a moment. But let's just watch this one outing from Roki here where he closes out a game. This is in the postseason where he really downshifted his arsenal from 3 pitches really back to the 2, which is often what you'll see with hard-throwing relief pitchers. But for the most part, they don't feature a knuckleball, forkball split thing. It's a great pitch to have. But I ask you this question. What does he have that he can throw for strikes and get contact outs with? I mean, that's a devastating top-shelf splitter right there. And I think the splitter, ideally, which really is a forkball, I think ideally this is a pitch that he wants to throw ahead in the count. It's not really designed to be easy to throw strikes. And I think we've seen how it can be very effective when he does throw strikes. But he also had trouble doing it at times. And the last thing you want to do, especially as a starter, is allow the other team to just stand there. And in that, the nature of his splitter, his forkball, is so much different than a traditional power split. I do question how much he will be able to throw strikes with this pitch over the course of a start. And if it doesn't just become a guessing game where a batter can say, you know what, I'm selling out for that fastball, or I'm going to sell out for that split, and the odds are you're going to get it because there's only 2 options. And if you're selling out for the fastball and you're laying off anything with loose spin, pretty good chance he's going to throw enough balls to get you into a good count. So I kind of think, because a big part of my ultimate philosophy as a pitcher, especially if I was a starting pitcher, is, look, of course strikeouts are king, but the reality is you're not going to strike everybody out. Even the best strikeout artists, especially as starters, even the best strikeout artists are right around 30% K. So that leaves 70% of the plate appearances that don't end in strikeout. You got to get outs in those scenarios. So in my opinion, as a starter, you need to have pitches that you can throw over the white thing, aka the plate, and trust that if they put the ball in play, you like your chances. I think he would like his chances with his split if he could throw it over the white thing consistently. I don't think he'll be able to. I truly think that this is a hit or miss pitch. It's an extremely finicky pitch. And when the spin rate is this low, let's see what it averaged this year. It averaged 492 spin on his forkball split thing this year. When the spin is that low, what does that mean? Well, what that means is the ball's essentially slipping out of your hand, right? Your spread's so wide that the ball has to slip out of the hand to create that really loose spin rate, knuckleball action that really intentionally is supposed to be a little bit unpredictable with the movement. We can see in his movement chart that some of them are on the left side of the line, some of them are on the right side of the line. So some of them have cut to them, some of them have fade to them, all of them go down, and that's pretty obvious to see because when you have low spin, there's nothing keeping the ball up. Gravity plus your low spin is going to aid the drop. But I think it's a really hard pitch to command. As a reliever, can he do this? Fastball split? Yeah, probably most of the time. But in my opinion, as a starter, it's going to be hard for him to be efficient. He's going to get a lot of deep counts. He's going to get a lot of foul balls. He's going to strike out guys, but he's going to walk guys. Opposing team strategy is going to be to stand there quite a bit. So in my opinion, yes, it would be nice if he could find another pitch that he can throw over the plate and essentially, get ahead. I think if he had 2 pitches to get ahead and then he could go to his forkball split thing, devastating. But I do think in major leagues, with the approaches that we see nowadays, a lot of people are going to stand there and wait for him to get into a count. Or they're going to guess a lot against him. And when you're guessing with 2 pitches, you got a 50% chance to be right. And if the percentages tick up one direction or the other, you have even a better % chance of being right. Okay, problem number 2 with Roki, in my opinion, is the spin rate. of his pitches in general. Not just the splitter, he also has low spin on the four seam. Here's the spin on the four seam, 2085. That's well below average. On the slider, it was even lower, 1869. Now, most of the legit sliders you see in the big leagues, now not all of them, but most of them, the ones that go left, have high spin rate. The pitchers that I get excited about have capacity to spin the crap out of a breaking ball. Nolan McLean being a great example of that. That's Period Skateboards is on that. McLean is the spin god. And what that does is it has darting, vicious, late movement on it. You're able to create a big shape at a fast speed. When you have low spin, you're not able to create a big shape at all. You might be able to create a death ball, a ball that kind of gyros and goes straight down below the zone for chase. But guess what? He already has that pitch. It's called his forkball. It's right below. It's basically also a death ball shape, like it's right below the zero line. Not a lot of horizontal one way or another. And that's why, to me, trying to figure out what this other pitch is going to be is a little interesting. Now, part of me thinks maybe sinker. I understand that this guy's a vert four-seam guy, but why not throw a mediocre sinker in there, at least give you some variety with your fastballs? I probably wouldn't dabble with the cutter right away if it was me. I don't want to take away from what he's got going on with that fastball. And, you know, the slider that he was throwing, I don't hate the shape. At times it gets out left. And you know what? Let's just go cherry pick a few videos. These are going to be balls, but I want to get a visual of what this slider he was featuring looks like. Now remember, it's low spin. So not only does the hitter get a little better look at that spin because it's not as blurry, because it's not firing on all cylinders, if you will. It also just has less overall potential movement. So even if you spin it on the perfect axis with lower spin, it's going to end up in a shorter spot. I don't mind a sweeper shape because it's so different than his other two pitches, but he hasn't shown an ability yet to command it, and the lack of spin tells me that the ultimate ceiling of this pitch really isn't there. So it makes me wonder a little bit, what are they going to do here? Do they go to more of a power split and call that his sinker, his splinker? Now you could give him 3 pitches all on the right side of the chart, kind of on a diagonal, something that fills in that negative space between the red dots and the blue dots. I think these are all fair questions. And of course, if you're working with the player individually and you get a little better sense of what their feel is, you can see how their hand unwinds on the high-speed camera. You could get some more data points in the training room. You can begin to maybe make some better recommendations, and I'm sure the Dodgers will be all over that. But for me, I would be actively looking for a third pitch, but it does present a little bit of an issue because you want this guy on your Major League roster to start out the season, but as a starter, he might not be fully really ready to compete in the way that you want to. So it's a little bit of a conundrum, and I wanted to lead off the show talking about Roki a little bit and some of the things that immediately stand out to me. So let me go get in the chat, see what you guys are saying, and then we will continue. We'll continue to keep looking around. All right, here we go. Oh, right away, we already have some hate in the chat. Thanks, Michael Jordan. Appreciate that. All right, Zach McKeon. I think his fastball might not be good enough to dominate with 2 pitches. So it's also interesting. He had an absolutely incredible screaming heater in Japan, and at times he did get back up to 100 in the postseason this year. So this average velocity of 96.1 is not really real. Like, that's what he did as a starter in the regular season when he was clearly uncomfortable. But here's the shape on it. 14.3 inches of rise. That's below average, especially for his arm slot. So it's sort of a dead zone in terms of vert. 10.5 inches of tail. Okay, it's got a little bit of extra run, but nothing that's scaring anybody. So again, the lack of spin kind of ultimately forces his fastball to really be around 100 miles an hour, or the shape of it is probably not good enough, to your point, to be a dominant offering. So that's a big problem there. I think then with the current shape of his four seam, he becomes incredibly velocity dependent. And I believe, look, he's 24 years old. He should be throwing cheese for a long time. But that's where I was thinking maybe sinker, but I'd love to see how his hand comes through the ball. I'm assuming he's a pronator, but I don't know that for a fact. Anyway, that's a good comment there. Not sure how many pitches fit into what he has right now, too, and that's the other issue. Like, I just tried to, poke through it a little bit. The big thing that he also has going right now, where you could conceptualize this a little bit differently. Like, he throws 96, or really it's like 98 with the fastball, and the split's like mid-80s. That's a huge gap. So really, you'd be looking for something to bridge the gap. There's where a cutter makes some level of sense, or a harder split, like a splinker, Paul Skeens-esque splinker, Yohan Duran splinker, even like a sort of a version that Ben Joyce was throwing when he was healthy for the Angels. These are options just to get him off the same shape of a four-seam. But yeah, it's not a great four-seam shape at the moment, and it does rely on having exceptional velocity, which as a starter, he didn't really show last year. He showed that much more in the bullpen. All right, Maya. Gausman is basically just fastball splitter. No. Yes, he is, and some people can pull off this trick. He throws some gyro sliders, and if you remember from the postseason when we were going through Gauze, he mostly threw them for balls. Like, it was like he was trying to get people to fish at bad pitches. But look, his splitter's a little different in that it has more spin to it, and it's more of a slip pitch. Now, I'll demonstrate Gausman's grip here for a second. He's got an interesting grip where all three of the fingers are kind of paddled on the side. And when the ball comes out, he rolls it off of these three. So, yes, it's a split on the top, but really, he's got a lot of fingers on the ball contributing to his ability to spin it, but not only spin it, when you spin it and you have more contact with the ball, you gain more touch points and more feel, therefore more command, right? So even though it's actually a similar profile in terms of speed differential, this is Gausman right here, 94.5 at the four seam, about the same speed split, it's a different pitch. Gauze is averaging 1691 spin on his split, whereas I mentioned Roki was in the 400s. That's 1,200 more RPM. So just functionally, that makes it a little bit of an easier pitch to command, and Gausman has proven that he can command it over time. And even with Kevin, when we watch him, it's a fine line with him. He really has to be on with his command, or he runs into a little bit of trouble because he is quite predictable with the two pitches that you can guess. All right, what else we got? Do I like waffles? I do like waffles, but I don't really eat pancakes or waffles much in the morning anymore. It makes me very lethargic. Isaac Matson had a successful season for the Pirates, throwing almost exclusively fastballs. Do you think that is sustainable? Well, I'm not really that familiar with Matson. This is just a quick detour. Pretty sure if he's a relief pitcher, then at times, yes. At times there are outlier guys with essentially one pitch. Yeah, and so he is a reliever. And this fastball is wow. Well, let's just watch one since we're here. Since I already clicked it. Yeah, this fastball's got elite spin to it and rise to it, right? This is 18.7 inches of rise. So Roki was at 14.3. That's a big difference. And that's ultimately why he's a little bit more able to get away with this pitch despite it being less velocity. It's a really good shape. I don't think it's necessarily sustainable, but we've seen guys like Jake McGee do it. We've seen guys like Brian Shaw with the cutter do it. I mean, Kenley at one point was all cutters, but you really have to have an outlier pitch, and you can't be a starter to pull this off. What do I think about adding a different splitter for Sasaki? Add the power splitter for more control, more velo, more run, keep the fork bolts at third pitch. Now, this is a great idea. I just touched on this. I like this idea a lot. You put something in between the two pitches. Now you're able to get some more balls on the ground. Your fastball will play up in the zone better after the splinker shape. Now you have a contact controlling pitch, and it doesn't take away from the effectiveness of the fork split thing either. So those are interesting. Did I ever get annoyed of the Yankee Stadium strikeout whistle? No, I liked it. In fact, I really like all finishing moves that the stadiums do. You know, Red Sox do the whoop whoop on their strikeouts, and Yankees have the P.C. Richardson whistle. But For me, I like it because if as a pitcher you hear that sound, you know you did something good. Dodgers don't need guys on the major league roster to start the season. They have the luxury of taking the regular season for granted. Yes, they do, for the most part. But this is a huge key. This is a huge piece. He's only going to be making league minimum for a few more years. Not that the Dodgers care about the cost, but you'd like to get him on the right track towards being a starter soon, or it's going to be too late. The incentive to win is too strong, which will pull him into the bullpen if he doesn't, become a starting prospect pretty soon again. All right, what else we got here? Yeah, no IVB is a big issue for him. I personally, ticker. I personally think he should add a sweeper because that can be very helpful. So the sweeper that we saw, I didn't mind it much, but again, being that it's a very low spin, it's going to have a hard time maximizing its potential. Like, I don't think it will be a big sweeper. And the fact that everybody throws sweepers, and let me tell you, because I was a sweeper pitcher, once you're out of the top 20% of those in terms of nastiness, you can really feel it. You can really feel it. So that's a little bit of an issue. Probably a pronator or sweeper thing is really slow compared to his four seam. His four seam is 96 percentile spin. Yes, he's got to be a pronator the way he comes through, which makes him pushing something left a big issue. This is something we've looked at with a lot of different people, Jonah Tong, etc. But Roki's an interesting puzzle to get to figure out. All right, what else we got? Did you ever try to develop a pitch that ended up not making it to the arsenal? Yeah, a lot of times. I mean, even on my video of my last effective pitching, I was throwing what I used to call the slammer, which is basically a death ball type of downer breaking ball, different than my other pitch. Just wasn't consistent enough with it. Couldn't figure it out. When I was a very young pitcher, I had a split also, but that was from a higher slot. As soon as I went back to my natural slot, couldn't find it. Cutter is a pitch that I jammed down the throat of the league, and I should not have because it sucks. So, yes, I tried to do it all, and some of them were bad decisions. All right, what else we got? Ever played the show? Yep, of course. Of course. I mean, not in a while because there's a lot, but not in a while. Have you ever considered being a pitching coach? I think I'm considering starting a private practice for pitching coaching. It's as far as I'll talk about that for now because it's going to be anonymous. The spam your best pitch meta worked for Finnegan. Right, but Finnegan, again, his split, even though he has a split, more spin rate to it, little easier to control, and I think the ability to control this crazy fork thing is a tough thing. Here's one to current teammate, Kyle Tucker. I mean, this pitch is disgusting. You see the drop on it. Like, I'm actually obsessed with his splitter. Forkball, which is what I really want to call it. I just know from experience, when you start to lose a little bit of that feel, of that consistency of the ball off your fingers, and you have a slippage situation, even if it's nasty, you're just going to have a hard time being consistent with it. Like, that type of miss will be very common right there, which we just watched. This is a good one because this is where somebody chases it. Yep, see you later. I mean, it is nasty, but this is a conundrum because it's like he's good enough to clearly be a force in the big leagues, but like, will they allow him to reach his potential or not? Let's see what we got here. If Roki took one step to the left of the rubber, his plot would be way better. This is an intriguing thought here. Where is Roki on this rubber? Yeah, it looks like he's pretty far over. Hold on. Let me go back to here because we'll just find a better camera angle. So it does, to your point. Interestingly, he looks like he's cheating a little bit to the third base side. Good call, Ted. Okay, so this is an important decision as a pitcher, where you're going to be on the rubber. You're trying to create an angle that not only allows you to be in the zone with everything, but also makes it hard to hit. I think with a guy like this, where the fundamental importance is to funnel pitches into the zone and get ahead in the count, oftentimes what you want to do is you want to set up a scenario where your arm is coming right through the middle of the plate. So this was an issue I had I actually talked about it on a live stream yesterday, not my live stream, but pitcher list live stream yesterday. Like early in my career when I was way on the third base side plus a cross body, and I have a long arm slot, like a low arm slot, my hand was so far away from the center of the plate that the ball had to travel like on a diagonal to get back to the strike zone every time. Not that you can't do that, but it makes your margin for error with your hand very slight because you're coming through on a diagonal. So it's like if you release it here, it's too high. Here's perfect, but here's too low. Like it's such a subtle thing. But if you're in the middle of the plate, which was what I'm proposing now to Roki, and you're on the third base, you're on the first base side, which leaves your arm more in the middle if you're over the top. All you got to do now is bring your arm straight through the plate. Like if this picture behind me is the plate, you're bringing your arm straight through the plate, right? And it's like, now it's like you have more margin for error, like high, but strike, 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 low. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a lot more margin for error east-west. So I think that's a great comment by Uncle Ted there. And it's possible that could be a very simple adjustment. I'd have to watch his miss plot enough and basically study him a little harder to know if that was the right move. But that's a very good idea because ultimately you do want to set yourself up just to throw the ball over the plate as much as possible, especially when you have great stuff like Roki. All right, what else we got here? Yeah, Snell is being slowly ramped up. I just saw that. They do care, but again, Snell, they want him at the end. He has no real history of 200 innings, right? So they have the luxury of doing this. I'm sure they're going to slow play Shohei as well. You're going to see a lot of Sheehan. You're going to see a lot of some of the younger guys, if Gavin Stone's healthy and people like that. Even Roki, I don't know. I don't know if he'll be in the rotation opening day. It's going to be fascinating to find out. All right, what else we got? What stadium has the most fun seventh inning stretch tradition? I mean, this is off topic, but probably the Cubs. They have the celebrity. They do the one, two, three in the Harry Carey style. Let's get some runs. Blah blah blah. What was my favorite stadium to play at? Honestly, Dodger Stadium's up there. I like all the old ones: Fenway, Wrigley, Dodger. Obviously, I like Yankee as well. That's special to me, but I like the old ones. Of the new ones, I'm really a big fan of New Minnesota. I like it a lot for some reason. I don't know. I like Nats Park. I like a lot of them. Did you ever find benefit from sports psychology? Pitchers can be a lot of pressure. How'd you handle the mental side of the game? Yeah, this was an evolution. I mean, believe me, when I was struggling in minor leagues, Cardinals threw a lot of people at me trying to help me, and I took some stuff from those people. But at the end of the day, what it's all about is simplifying your thoughts out there and being convicted in what you do, and not worrying about the outside noise or the consequences of giving up a hit here, throwing a ball here. You have to be convicted in the moment on every pitch. And it takes a while to figure out that mindset. I've spoken before about how actually a video, a night that I was watching Kevin Durant shoot in a basketball game helped me because he talked about, he was like 0 for 10 at the half, and they asked him about where he was at. 0 for 10. How's he going to come out in the second half? And he said, I always assume a make, so I know my next one's going in. And at that point, a light bulb went off in my brain that I wasn't assuming I was going to make my pitches. I was kind of hoping, throwing and hoping. Once I started assuming my pitches were going to go where I wanted them to go, that was like a Jedi mind trick. Pretty quickly after that, my execution rate got a lot better. And also making the one pitch adjustments is a big deal. But from the mental side of things, there's so many layers to it. Honestly, like at times you're just buried under the weight of your own expectations and dreams and fears and all that type of stuff. And eventually you figure out how to simplify that and get out of your own way and just worry about what matters now, which ultimately is how you win. What's important now is the acronym for win. All right, back to the thing here. Does Sonny Gray spin at the best in MLB? He's up there. He's definitely up there. Oh, did I see O'Neal Cruz working with KK? So KK might be a private practice type of guy. We'll see. Is there tension or confusion between pitching coaches when hires private practitioners? Well, in my case, I wouldn't be replacing what the organization would do at all. I'm a second brain. Everything that I've been through, everything that I've learned in my career would be something that would benefit a current player. I would help them not make some of the catastrophic mistakes that are all too often made, and I would, work with them in the context of their own organization to improve their performance. Yada, yada, yada. We're not going to talk about that anymore. Bobby Miller. Haven't really looked into him much. I'm sure he'll resurface. He's too talented not to. Too talented not to. Oh, now we're talking Bobby Miller. Bobby's problem started after his 13th game against St. Louis. His shoulder got inflamed, and since then he has struggled heavy and will probably be traded or DFA'd. Yeah, Bobby Miller, I mean, look, big-time stuff. I've hardly ever seen a guy struggle as hard as he did the last time he was up, especially throwing 100 miles an hour. But he's got a good changeup. You got to believe he's going to resurface at some point. Maybe a change of scenery candidate. But, he averages 97.6 on his four seam. He's got a really good changeup. He's a first-round pedigree. At one point, he put up 22 starts with a 3.76. Like, it's in there. So we'll see when this remerges. But, man, it's been a tough 2 years, no doubt about it. Seth Lugo's got great spin. Nolan McLean. A lot of guys. What's your opinion on Hunter Goodman's current position? So that's a Rockies question. So we can get into that in a minute. Anyway, those are my basic thoughts on Roki. I mean, again, like looking back at Roki one last time before I get into some other topics, because there's some good stuff in the chat here maybe to look at. Yeah, it's just like, do you believe that he'll be able to throw enough strikes with the forkball, figuring out what the bridge pitch is, understanding what's going on with his fastball. It is low spin, so it's probably not as nasty as we thought maybe coming over, especially if he's not sitting at 100. So that's where right now it does make a little more sense for him to be in the bullpen. If you wanted to have him effective right now, it's 100 mile an hour with the forkball, 2 pitches, gets ahead in the count, wipes guys out. But again, in the starting role, they're going to wait him out a lot. Teams are going to grind him down. He can't hold runners. There's a lot of things that are going to be tough for him. So I'm curious to watch it. Dodgers do a great job overall. How are they gonna pour into this guy? How are they gonna make him better? Is it really a disaster if Roki's MLB career ends up being just high-level leading reliever? I mean, that I would be insulting myself if I thought it was a disaster to do that. Ultimately, if you play in MLB for a really long time, it's a hell of a great way to spend your life, right? I mean, you have the best job in the world. You get to go play baseball, and as a reliever, you get to really affect a lot of games, and you're in a lot of big moments, and you do feel important, and I mean, I learned to love it. I'm just saying, ultimately, every pitcher usually dreams of being a great starter. So you try to ride that horse as long as you can. You try to ride that as long as you can. Sinker was my first thought, like a splinker grip Spectre, something that he can throw hard with some drop. I think if you just give him a regular sinker grip, it's going to end up like right next to the red dots, and it's not going to be great. But if it's a little like lower on the chart and you get a little less IVB, you're going to get some ground balls. So I think that will just help his batted ball profile, which is another aspect of this. You have to figure out a way to get your contact outs if you're going to be a starter in the big leagues, or you're going to get exposed by great contact teams. Even some of the best pitchers in baseball, some of my favorite pitchers in baseball, Glasnow, Snell, for example, you saw they struggled a little bit with like a Blue Jay style offense. But did Yamamoto struggle? Fuck no. Yamamoto diced him up, got weak contact, got quick outs, punched him out when he needed to. So again, like you're going to run into trouble if you're stylistically only a strikeout or walk type of pitcher, especially in the starting rotation. And we just have to see what type of feel this guy possesses and what he can kind of turn himself into. But a great fallback, obviously, is to be a closer. I'm just hoping that they don't have to make that decision so fast. 24, in my opinion, when you have this much talent, it's a shame to give up on something so fast. Maybe give him till he's 26. I mean, maybe I'm in the minority there, but that's kind of how I feel. Roki's better versus lefties, in my opinion, probably, because the fork's going to play versus either guy. And a four seam usually fine versus lefties. I don't know what the splits were. Now you're making me want to look. I mean, I didn't look in the it's tough to look at the regular season because like he wasn't the same pitcher, but We'll look for fun. He was definitely a different pitcher in the postseason, which maybe we can look at in a second. Okay, so platoon splits. He had a 747 OPS versus righties and a 744 versus lefties. So it was also pretty much negligible, but lefties only hit 203 versus him. So I don't think he has a huge issue with them with contact. The issue is those arm side fly misses lead to a lot more walks. 15 walks and 15 punch-outs versus lefties. So it's a command issue versus lefties. Now, I am curious to see if we have postseason splits. Can I look at that? That's annoying. Because in the postseason, he put up much better numbers. He put up a .84 ERA with 3 saves in 9 games in the postseason, 10 2/3, 6 hits, 1 run, 5 walks. So the walks are still a part of the game, obviously. Only 6 strikeouts, so he was getting weak contact, a lot on those splits. But I mean, he's just such an unfinished product, and I can't wait to watch how they develop him, basically. You know, it's going to be curious to see. All right, what else we got here? Oh yeah, Bobby Miller got smoked in the first game of spring last year. That was terrible. Terrible. Nobody likes that. I'm pretty pleasantly surprised that I avoided near death out there on the mound a few times. I caught a ball one time right here at my face. Jorge Mateo hit a ball so fast back at me that I didn't really know what happened. Literally hit me in the chest and knocked me out of the way. So it was tough. Brady, what? Well, depending on when I'm done, I might be able to, but I have to be at throwing at 1.
Yeah.
What's the deal?
Could you just come?
Well, not right now.
No, after.
Well, it depends. But what's the issue?
I just want them to listen to his chest.
We have to drive there, though? Well, it's an hour round trip, plus the time.
No, it's 20 minutes.
No, it's not.
Yes, it's 20 minutes. Brett time is different than Adam time.
If I get off at 11:30 and we go right away, then that could maybe work.
You could get off at 11:45.
No, I can't, because then by the time we get back, then I got to get over to maybe 11:45 at latest. Maybe, but probably 11:30. All right. What else we got here? So this is interesting. Thoughts on Senga feel like his forkball is a double-edged sword. It's a similar issue to Sasaki in that it's not really an easy pitch to land for strikes. Love Kodai. I do think he needs to get out of his own way, out of his own head and out of his own way, basically. He's too talented to jam himself up the way he does sometimes with his lack of throwing strikes. But even with the lack of throwing strikes at times and getting ahead in the count properly, he is still devastating because of his pitches, particularly, obviously, the ghost fork when he gets to it. I mean, last year, people think it's a disaster. He had a 3.02 ERA in 22 starts. I know he got hurt again, and I know it was probably frustrating to watch him with the 1.31 WHIP, and there was a lot of luck involved. But at the same time, his expected ERA was 3.96. But at the same time, yeah, it's the same issue. His ghost fork, which I don't even think it's on here. Yeah, it's this pitch right here. This is the Senga ghost. It's the same issue. It's very low spin. It's hard to throw for strikes, and that's the biggest thing. It's just hard to throw strikes. And when you have a pitch that's hard to throw strikes with, it's hard to throw it behind in the count. 1-0, 2-0, 2-1. You're going to inevitably be behind in the count at times. So it's it's a good pitch to have, but it's very hard to be a one-trick pony with a split forkball type of thing. Yeah, I mean, and he got all his run value from split, so he was getting murdered on everything else last year. He just had to get to it. Where's his spin rate on this? I think I jumped past that. That's my bad, guys. Yeah, okay, so his spin rate on his forkball is 1193. So it's lower spin than Gosman, but much more spin than Roki. Ultimately, he can command it probably a little bit better than Roki, but it's sort of a similar issue. Just too many throws too many balls with it. It's not a great strike pitch. I think for me, that was the big thing that he figured out in 22 for Senga. The cutter he leaned into, and the cutter was massive for him in 23, excuse me. See, 20 run value on cutter in 23. That was his strike pitch. He was getting all of his early contact outs with that, weak contact with that, getting himself to the split and putting guys away. The cutter has really lost effectiveness big time since then. Hopefully he can regain that. He's a little bit of an enigma because like he's too good to say he's like that he needs to change everything, but there's obviously some adjustments to be made here as well for him to get fully back on track. Is it his birthday or something? We got a present here. You see this present? Does that mean it's your birthday? I don't know. I'm hoping for big things for him. I mean, it would be huge for the Mets if he could get himself back. Yeah, the walks for Roki were lefties. Yes, and that's what sparked my intrigue on this, Spectre. I watched the Dave Roberts, that he needs a third pitch. Then I watched the Andrew Friedman saying he doesn't necessarily need a third pitch. My opinion is long-term, he will need a third pitch if he wants to start. You know, that's my opinion. I think you're trying to force him to be very perfect and have command of a pitch that's almost impossible to command because it slips out of your hand if you don't make a change. So that's my thought. All right, quick question. Who you got winning the WBC? Well, Italy, of course. But if not Italy, I do think USA and Japan and Dominican are at the top three. But I would say USA, if they can get what they want out, if they can get what they should get out of those starting pitchers, they should be right there with everybody. He said some interesting things about what they've learned about injuries, and I was wondering if any insight. Well, I didn't see those quotes. I'd love to know more. I mean, I've learned a ton of stuff about injuries, but that's special information, right? So maybe they have that. That would be great because the Dodgers have definitely gone through that a lot. First time stopping in the stream. Welcome. Yeah, we're good with the weather. I mean, all the snow outside my house is a brick of ice. So see how it goes. How's the throwing going? Well, I am not feeling so good yet, but today is long toss day, and we will see how I come out of this one. We're working very fast here to get to the mountain next week, and then throw as many mount sessions as possible. I mean, I feel okay. I got to get over that hump. Got to get over that hump, that workload hump where I can throw more often with more intensity, but we're getting there. It's just tough. You're 40 years old, you know? How is Daisy? Daisy is doing spectacular. She's with the dog trainer. She'll be back Sunday or Monday, and she'll be back in my lap after that. Yeah, I was curious about this too. Is it Senga's birthday? Wow, this is a crazy question. If you had to build a pitching staff, but you could only see one column on Savant, which column would you choose? One column? I mean, I guess the most effective one would be K percentage, right? Or something like that, because ultimately strikeouts, nothing bad can happen, but I don't know. We'll see. Was the gyro ball a real pitch? Yeah, gyro ball is like a gyroscopic slider. It's a pitch that spins like a bullet. I do think the gyro balls that they were talking about is the reverse action, right? Like looks like it's going to slide, but instead it kind of reverses. So those are real pitches. It's just a funny name. So this is one of my issues with Cease. We're talking about two pitch guys here. I mean, and don't get me wrong, there have been some over the course of baseball history that have done it. One of my mentors, Chris Carpenter, was basically two pitches. Later, he added a third. It was more sinker cutter curveball. But for a long time, he was sinker curveball, and he was able to do it. Different era of pitching, though. I think right now, with the way that they game plan and the way guys hunt pitches, it's tougher. But I do think, this is one of my concerns with Cease. Like, he's got two dynamic pitches. He throws 97 with perceived cut and above average rise. I mean, look at this fastball. 18.5 average IVB, 3.7 on tail, so that's perceived cut. So it's a great fastball. And then he's got obviously one of the best sliders in the game. You know, it's a beautiful gyro right down the middle. And if you go ahead and look at the run value on this thing over the years, I mean, at times it's been the best pitch in baseball. 24, it had 25 run value. In 22, it had 35 run value. And that was the number one pitch in baseball at the time. So that's how he does it. That's how he's survived it. But again, is he as good as he should be, given how dominant those two pitches are? No, and it's because he hasn't filled in the other gaps. He hasn't made himself less predictable. 4.55 last year when he punched out two 215 guys, 168 innings is kind of crazy to me. He should have easily had a high 3 ERA at worst, given those strikeout numbers, and ultimately he doesn't, and that lends itself to the walk rate being a little bit worse than he wants because guys can lay off pitches when they know what's coming. They can make better swing decisions. I do think he could add something to help his contact game, hold his slider and fastball back just a touch, and then they play up even better. But he's in a much different place because his fastball is it's a much better fastball than Roki's. So I feel I feel like in this day and age, it's very hard to do the 2-pitch thing. Very hard. You have to have the perfect combination with good execution. And you can do it, but you're definitely going to be better if you have more diversity. I think there's no doubt about that. All right, what else we got here? Yeah, run value would be the best stat probably. Oh, and it is Kodai's birthday, so happy birthday, Mr. Senga. It's in the same clip with the Roki stuff, but he said that what they've seen with soft tissue injuries like hamstring affecting delivery and obliques causing players like Roki to compensate. Yeah, I mean, it's all connected. I think they've learned a little bit about how, a deficiency downstream can really affect everything. So whether it's your landing leg, your hips, the way you're feeling, you're rotating, limitations in your rotation, your spine, your thoracic spine, hamstring health. I mean, all these things matter. So, in this day and age, that's why they constantly test. Don't guess, assess, figure out where you're at, and then that can help inform your training habits and get you on track to your optimized version. This is also one of those things that biomechanics and all the data that they have helps to inform. They take a sample when you're at your best, and then they know what to kind of try to return you to. It doesn't always work because oftentimes I think it's dumb to try to reach back for the past, but at the same time, it's often quite effective. So, depends. All right, what else we got here? For rotation, somewhere else to subconsciously protect the oblique. Yeah, there's a lot of subconscious things that go on. I actually saw an Instagram clip today talking about how, like when you put somebody under heavy anesthesia and you can basically contort their body into any position you want. It's the brain that kind of is protecting you, saying this isn't safe, et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes there's a lot of subconscious compensating going on that maybe we don't necessarily consider when evaluating pitchers or athletes. What's your advice for young pitchers trying to reach the league? Try to get better every day. Stack days, one good day, then another good day, then another good day, and you'll be amazed at how far that discipline will take you. And also study the best, watch the best players in MLB, watch the best pitchers in MLB, see what they do, try to find out what works for you, and then go ahead and master that. And believe in yourself, always. Don't listen to the noise. Yes, it's hard to get there, but somebody's got to do it. Oh, my guy Ray in the chat. You can smell the grass. Baseball's almost here. It sure is. How is Aroldis Chapman still doing it at such a high level at 37? Seems like he's at his best right now. So a couple things are true about Aroldis. Number one, he's a freak. Always has been a freak. El Flaco back in the day with the Cuban national team. Now he's a workout warrior. I think he ultimately is so strong that a lot of his compensations don't really matter. He's been able to just brute strength his way through a lot of things, but he's such a dedicated worker. He has incredible flexibility for his size. He's also thrown this hard for a really long time, so his body has also made a lot of adaptations that other people's bodies have not. And he has so much experience now that his mental game has improved. So like if you can maintain your physical level, you're always going to be getting smarter over time. And that's kind of what we saw last year. He finally started locating better. His pitch mix got a lot more intelligent. The Red Sox helped him with targeting. And ultimately, the velo was still there. He averaged 99 basically last year with his fastball. And it's incredible extension, 7.3 extension. So that ball's playing over 100. All those things help a guy like Chapman. Left-handed, extension, fear factor. But really, it's the work ethic. And, a lot of it's God-given. I mean, he's one of the most flexible dudes you'll ever see with his build. He can touch both elbows behind his back. It's just freaky. He's a springy guy, and that's why he's a 1 of 1, honestly. 37 years old, 1 of 1. To be that big and still pitch, it's impressive. But you also got to give credit to his work ethic. His work ethic is top tier. It really is. I saw it firsthand, and I played with him with the Yankees, where his work ethic was there, but I don't know. He's gone to another level now. With the Red Sox, when I saw him last year in spring, he was an absolute machine. People were in awe of him, and I was too. So I think that's a big part of it as well. Taiwan will beat Korea. Korea's got to be the favorite in that matchup. Ooh, Uncle Ted's giving us some functional advice here. If you want to be the best player you can, never let your heels touch the dirt. Always stay on the balls of your feet. So you know what's funny about this, Ted? All these online pitching coaches over the years are like, oh, when your back foot's on the rubber, you gotta push from their midfoot and your heel, keep your heel down as long as possible to get glute activation. Whereas a lot of the best pitchers I ever played with were at ball of the feet athletes. I couldn't command shit or get around my front side if I wasn't on the ball of my feet and I didn't land on the ball of my feet. So I agree with you, Ted. I like ball of the feet. I like being quad dominant as a pitcher personally. But it is funny how a lot of people are pushed to be glute dominant with their heels down on the mound. Not necessarily my favorite thing. Paul Skeen said it during his awards speech. I'm here because I don't understand the word can't. Exactly. Don't listen to what other people say. You'd be amazed at the compound interest, the compounding effect of stacking one good day on top of another over a long period of time. Really, before you know it, you wake up and you're a hell of a lot better than you were before. And there's something awesome about working on yourself a little bit every day. It gives you such a purpose. It's one of the things I struggled with when I stopped pitching. I was like, I need something to drive me every day, and I feel like I'm in a better spot now, but that was one of the things I enjoyed the most about being a professional athlete, just, having something to wake up and a project to work on every day, which was myself. All right, what else we got? Yeah, and Andrew Bailey's also a great pitching coach. This is important to note for the Red Sox and the Chapman stuff. Yeah, no, I didn't do it at night. We had time today during the day, so we did it at the day. Can he see us in the YouTube comments? Who's he talking to? So right now I have a multi-stream going on, Seahawks. This is a simulcast. I have it going on my channel, Adam Monavino 0, where there's currently 59 people in the chat. And then there's 60-something on MLB's stream. So I can see both of them, and I'm putting them up. But if you can't see other people's comments, that's because you're on like the other chat, so you can't see the other chat's comments. I can see everything filtered into one box. But there you go. All right, here we go. Ooh, Chivilli. All right, so we're done talking about a couple of these guys. I touched on Chivilli a little bit the other day. This is the player the Yankees just got from the Rock Show in a 1-for-1 trade for Rumfield, who's a first baseman who's probably blocked with the Yankees anyway. Here's what I immediately see with Chivilli. Now, you got to take these movement numbers with a grain of salt because there's a lot of coarse field involved. So if you look at his four seam, it says he has 9.5 vert on it. It's probably more like 11.5 or 12 or 13.5 vert. Either way, below average level of vert. And he's at 34-degree arm angle, so that's below average, but not much. So that's a bad fastball shape in terms of vert. So if I were them, I would immediately switch him to a sinker grip, whether it's a one seam or whether it's a two seam. Whatever you can do to force more drop, and then I would also tweak his changeup grip if I could. Now I don't know what grip he's using now, but we need to get him below the zero line on that changeup. I am actually curious to see what the old fastball looks like from Angel. Ooh, and I already immediately see another thing. Look at his head. He loses sight of the target. Look at that. So he sees it now. He's coming downstream. He's looking. And then I think he loses sight of the target. Maybe it's in his peripheral vision, but he's not looking anywhere near at home. So I understand he throws hard. The head's part of that. But if it were me, immediately mechanically, I would find a way to keep his head on the target a little bit longer. Also, the targeting. You see how his ball rides off the plate? This targeting is horseshit. He's pinned on the corner. If you drive a ball right at that glove, you're inevitably going to run it off the corner away, which is exactly what happens here. So the Yankees will fix all that basic shit. Like, they'll refix his targeting. They will probably change his grips around to get more drop. I don't think the slider is necessarily a problem. I'm kind of curious to see what that looks like. This is going to be a ball. But I think they'll tweak the stuff on the right side of, wow, it looked like his arm slot raised on that too, which is not a big deal, but I don't know. Little power breaking ball. I'm assuming that this guy, they can create even more run, even more drop from the changeup sinker approach if that's what they go to. And then from there, maybe they teach him a sweeper or something going the opposite direction pretty good. So that would be my guess, because there's some things about his approach now that aren't bad results-wise despite the 7 ERA. I mean, look, chase is good, whiff's good, ground ball's good. Those are all good things. Everything else is horseshit, but the Yankees see it. They see the potential. They'll get it. They'll get after it. They'll tweak it. He's only 23. Ceiling's obviously super high with the velo he has. They got him for basically nothing. They weren't keeping on him anyway. So he's just an interesting guy. Like, I think the Rockies at times have had some pitchers that, were developed incorrectly. Plus, they're dealing with pitching on the moon, and you get them out of there and you fix them up a little bit, and before you know it, they're really good. And everybody's like, huh, Rockies could have used that guy. So we'll see how this one plays out. But, Yankees don't just grab people for no reason. They see something and then they attack it. I'm sorry. How do you see that change in arm angle so quickly? I didn't even see that until you pointed it out. Honestly, I've watched enough baseball to know. That's all. I see it. I have a weird brain like that. I can't turn it off. What can I say? I think you can see it too, though, if you watch as much baseball as I have. You'll get used to it. All right, what else we got here? If you want to be great, to the middle school in Brooklyn, run some stairs with dim lights and have your coach rip fungos from half court. Yes, Ray, this is the youth service method. But you know what made us great, Ray? I thought as a young travel team boys was just how much we love the game and how much we practiced. Back in the day, we were obsessed with fielding grounders, hitting wiffle balls, hitting beans with training sticks, whatever it takes, just practicing as much as you can, being outside, staying off Fortnite. Stay off Fortnite, kids. Only after you've earned it. All right, on to the next. Derek Falvey fired mid-offseason? Wow, is this facts? Did Derek Falvey just get fired? Mutual parting of ways with President of Ops Derek Falvey in a stunning and out-of-the-blue announcement. Twins on Friday have parted ways. General Manager Jeremy Zoll will send from teams number 2. But his title is not changing. Over the past several weeks, Derek and I have thoughtful and candid conversations about leadership, structure, and future of club. We reached a shared understanding that the needs of the organization are evolving and that a leadership transition is the best way to move forward. I want to thank Derek for everything he has contributed to this org. When he joined the Twins 9 years ago, it was in many ways a watershed moment. His leadership was transformational. He helped modernize every aspect of our operations, led with strong values, intention, and purpose. Okay. And we're kicking him out. I don't really know what to make of this, man. I mean, shit, the Twins have been a disaster. They were probably on track to be that team in the Central for a while there, and it's gone really south really fast. Let me look at the Twins roster for a second, because obviously, ultimately he's responsible for this roster. Buxton, Keishel, Bell, Wallner, Jeffers, Larnick, Lewis, Caratini, Lee. I mean, it's not horrible. Pitching, Pablo, Joe, Bailey. So that's a good top 3. And then I like Taj Bradley long-term. We'll see. Sebby Matthews, Richardson. The bullpen got kind of raided last year at the deadline, but every team seems to want to flip those guys when you can get prospect value back. I mean, again, I don't think this is a dominant team. The Correa thing obviously did not work out the way they wanted. They've had big-time injury issues. Maybe they are going into a different phase, but I'm just surprised because I've heard that Derek Falvey was, well respected, well liked, and I'm a little surprised at this move. But I don't have any inside info on it, so it's a little shocking to me. All right, Adam. Other than money, how do you think a team should effectively convince a player to come to theirs? So oftentimes it's you convince them how you can get them better, because every player wants to get better. Treat the families well. That type of stuff spreads really well. Really, it's just opportunity. opportunity. I mean, it's different with the big time players because it's usually money plus whether you're in a winning window or not. But with everybody else, like it's opportunity. What opportunity can you offer me that other places aren't offering me? You know, I look at Bader this year. Bader could have signed with a lot of teams, but what opportunity was Harrison looking for? To start every day. Giants provided that. He signs with them. So, you know, money, of course, is always the ultimate factor, but I think opportunity is a big deal. And then just like, how are you? How are you perceived around the league? Because the word definitely spreads whether you guys are great or not. Like the Cubs have a huge leg up. I always feel like just for the vibes, and everybody knows that their traveling secretary is the best in the business. Get you into any restaurant, take care of the families in the back. All that stuff's huge. So I guess those are the answers. Especially if you could like find a way to keep guys healthy, I think that would drive a lot of people to your club as well. All right, let me get back in the chat here. So I don't think that he's necessarily tipping with that arm slot change that we noticed, Chivilli. I think it's just a matter of I noticed it right away, so he feels like he has to get over the top of the ball to create that action on the slider. I don't think too many batters can notice that, maybe a few, but for the most part, no. Oh, everybody's smelling blood in the water with the Twins. Trade Buxton, trade for Buxton, Stearns. I don't think the Mets are going to do that right now. They got their Luis Roberts, so we'll see. This was I was saying Royce Lewis would have been my target for the Red Sox for a while, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Oh, but Spectre thinks it's more realistic now. I don't know if it's realistic or not. I don't know enough about that. Can you walk us through reading a good movement profile versus a bad movement profile? Yeah, sure. Just on a very basic level, you always have to consider the release height and the extension and the release angles as well. But in terms of just pure movement profile, you want to get away from the averages. So, you know, I've talked about this before. Even Charlie Blackman talked about it when we had him on the show. You know, your brain kind of aggregates all the pitches that you see. So, you know, you see enough fastballs, you kind of aggregate them to a mean. And you want to be as far away from that mean as possible as a pitcher. You want to be on one side or the other of the movement profile. So these dotted dash lines represent the league average movement on these pitches, and you want to be as far away from them as possible. Now, oftentimes with certain pitches, you do want to be on the above side or the below side. Look at the four seam. It's usually way better to be above average, like have the red way up above this dash line than below it. If it's below it, it's got even less ride than average, and that's not usually a good thing. Occasionally, if it's way below average, it could be fine. Or if it's a sinker, you're like, okay, but occasionally that's not great. Ultimately, you want to, again, move away from the mean. You just want to be on one extreme side or the other. Yeah, this is Angel Chivilli. That's why, like, when I looked at his profile originally and I saw this fastball being such below average in terms of IVB, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would you throw a really bad version of a four seam when it seems pretty clear that if you leaned into a sinker shape, you might have an above average sinker shape. You might have extra run or extra drop. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of my answer. But it's not the be all and end all. There's guys that throw dead average pitches in terms of movement that do well for other reasons. There's always other factors to remember, and I try to break those down when we watch video on players. But from a movement profile, you're just trying to get away from the average, and what you're seeing on the chart with those dash lines is the averages. Okay, not sure if this is the topic right now, but which MLB ballparks do you use for WBC? Houston and Miami. Spectre's on it. Houston and Miami. They're also playing the first rounds in San Juan, Puerto Rico, which should be the most electric spot in the first round with the home team, the host team, Puerto Rico playing. Like, they haven't played there since, I think, 3 WBCs ago, so that'll be sick. And obviously in Tokyo with Japan. So Tokyo Dome, San Juan, I don't remember the name. Maybe it's Roberto Clemente. I don't know. It's one of the stadiums. And then we got Houston and Miami. And then eventually everybody aggregates to Miami for the semis and the finals. Okay. Yeah, man, everybody's smelling blood in the water with this Twins news. This is all very interesting. I wonder what's going to happen to Derek Falvey. It's going to be very interesting. think it's less than 2 weeks. We're days away. February 2nd, I believe, is the announcement for WBC rosters. And I actually got some information last night. I definitely can't tell you about it, but I got some information last night about a very interesting player that might be joining Team Italy at the last minute. And if that does come to fruition, I think people will be excited to see that. So we'll see. Ao, would you have pitched for Italy if they were in Taiwan or Japan? Fuck yeah. I would have actually preferred to go far away for this tournament. I'm dying to go pitch. I would have been dying to pitch in Asia. You know, I mean, for all my Japan obsessiveness and my love of culture, I've never been to Japan, so I would love to go. It's also not Roman, so I can still trick you. You're not, I promise you, this player's not on your radar. I promise you. Falvey to the Dodgers on a deferred deal or what? What's the situation there? Am I going to purchase MLB The Show 2026? Well, I don't have a lot of time to play vids. The only vids I really play are Nintendo Switch games. It's actually thinking about starting a Twitch for that. For me and my daughters when we play kart. You know, why not stream it? It'd be fun. We play Mario Kart. We play Donkey Kong Bonanza. There's sure to be a new Zelda game eventually. I know nothing's been announced, but go back through all the Marios. I mean, I love that stuff. So I've been thinking about that a little bit just for fun. I'm not trying to go anywhere with it. Just have fun. Are you going to sign back with another team in 2026? No, definitely not. Definitely not looking to continue my major league career at this point. Somebody could convince me if I look good in the WBC and everything's hunky dory, but not expecting that. Not expecting that. I mean, I'm already committed to doing broadcasting and this show and a lot of other things. So it would have to be pretty exciting for me to go that direction because we're just delaying the inevitable at this point if I keep pitching. Okay, can you talk about the benefits that come with 15 years of service time? How's that free lifetime tickets work? Can you request as many as you want throughout the year? Okay, so there's really no additional benefit to getting to 15 years. 10 is really the max benefit. After that, it's all kind of gravy. But yeah, I mean, you'll keep getting your 401k funded or whatever all the other years you're in, but you're not going to max out your pension any further. 8 years is when you get this card. I've talked about it a lot. This is the lifetime pass. I did use it for the first time this year. Basically, you go up to the box office, you present it, and they have to give you 2 tickets. It's just you and one guest, best available for free. You could theoretically go to almost every game. It doesn't count for postseason or opening day, I don't think, but you can get into quite a few games. I've known of no players or former players that have ever abused this privilege, even though it's very cool. I'll probably go to another game or two if I'm in another city. Let's say I'm with my kid at a tournament or something, and they're like, let's say we're in like Ohio and we're close to Cleveland or Cincinnati and we want to go to a baseball game. Hell yeah, I would use my card. But for the most part, you don't see a lot of people using it. It's just a really cool perk to have, that lifetime pass. Very dope. All right. Is Falvey the one who fired all of their scouts? I don't know. Maybe we'll just ask Google that. Falvey fire scouts. See what comes up. Minnesota Twins Axe Scouting Department, September 2015. Just when you think the Minnesota Twins ownership can't get any worse, they find a way. They traded 40% of the roster. They saved $70 million. They sold to minority partners to pay down debt. And the scouting department is down to 1. So I don't know if this is a Falvey idea or if this is ownership idea. This could be part of the reason, right? This could be part of the reason why they had a mutual separation. I mean, eventually it's just like not what he signed up for. He knows a little bit more about the unrest with the ownership situation, and maybe he wanted to be out. We don't know any of this information yet. It says mutual. Oftentimes that's for protecting one side or the other, but who knows? Who knows? Yep, Switch 2 is so fun. So fun. That's our thing. I wouldn't say I'm officially retired if I'm going to play catch today and going to get ready, and I don't really like that word anyway, but Hall of Pretty Good? I don't know. I don't know if they would be into me or not. Is it actual gold? I mean, it's got a little weight to it, but I don't think it's actual gold. I don't think it is. I don't believe that's the case. All right. Let's hit the old reset on here. Ooh, Martin Perez, minor league deal with the Braves as they're trying to fill out their rotation depth. I did note that this is very much minor league signing season right now. There was tons of little minor league deals the last couple days. We're about to hit February. This is where a lot of people give up on their goal of the major league offer, and they know they have to go ahead and try to make a team in camp. They don't want to be left high and dry, so they start signing these. Minor league deals. Lucas Sims is another one. This is definitely a sticky guy, supreme. Back in the day, throws hard, spins it. Generally pretty ineffective, considering his stuff, which is crazy. But he's a minor league signing. Who did Lucas just sign with? White Sox. So you're looking for opportunity. If I'm just going to sign a minor league deal and I'm not that old, I'm looking for opportunity. I'm actually looking for a bad team that I can crack and then rebuild my value. White Sox would be a good pick. Rockies is always a gambit, but that's what you're looking for, is the right opportunities. February on the horizon, so a lot of stuff is coming. But yeah, right now, I mean, it's tons of minor league deals. Daniel Johnson, Tom Cosgrove, Cal Quantrill, minor league deal. So Cal had to go to a minor league deal. But it's going to be, that's where we're at right now. There's a handful of major league free agents that are just going to hang on tight. They're going to refuse to sign these minor league deals, and when we'll see. But yeah, definitely minor league deal time. Austin Barnes was one with the Mets. It just feels weird for him to be on anybody but the Dodgers, but that's true. Would be fun to watch me pitch in Skydome. Always love pitching there. Always love pitching there. Going back to my 09 WBC debut with Italy versus Venezuela in Skydome. What an awesome feeling. Where do I think friend of the show Giolito ends up? I don't know. He's a pretty damn good pitcher. I think the Braves, the Orioles, Detroit, I think those are options. Unclear what his level of interest, what he's got, but he's a good pitcher. Lucas was good last year. I know that some of the expected stats are not going to really love him, but at the end of the day, I mean, 10-4 with a 341 and 145 innings. If he can replicate that or be anywhere close to that, that's a pretty valuable piece. Pretty valuable piece. If you can do it all over again, what would you have done differently in the beginning of your career? Oh my God. I would have taken more ownership over it, I guess. Believe that I knew what I was talking about instead of listening to everything. Try to be too coachable, basically, and listen to everything they were telling me. I don't know. I think I would have studied the major leaguers a little bit more. When I was in the minor leagues, I lost sight of the big leagues a little bit. And I don't know. There's a million answers to this question. I'm not somebody who says, oh, I don't regret anything. I definitely have regrets. I think I could have been a starter. I just didn't make the adjustments fast enough. Jason Strope. Hey, Adam, cool to see you stream for MLB. Thanks for all the years of great memories. You have some of the nasty stuff. How did you learn to throw the filthy slider? I actually talked about this yesterday on a stream. So, I actually started learning, a cutter from Luke Carlin, who was a catcher at Northeastern, was pitching the big leagues one off-season when he came back to my college. And, the cutter, I was, on a four-seam grip, and I just kept moving over. And then eventually I said, hey, what happens if I go all the way in the corner? And then all of a sudden, my pitches were going way left, and I kind of stumbled into that sweeper grip that I have. And even with that, it took me a while to trust it. But I just kind of stumbled into it, right? I thought it was a super cutter. I was like, cutter goes left, see how far I can make something go left. Before I know it, I'm throwing something slower. But obviously, when I was in my younger athletic prime, I threw it 84, 85 at times. So it's still pretty fast. Super cutter, basically, AKA sweeper. Lots of trade rumors, too. How much of it realistically gets done before spring training? Also, what's with all the arms available in free agency? So there's a compounding effect to everybody signing one-year deals. You keep signing one-year deals, you go right back into the free agent market every year. And then more people are becoming 6-year free agents, and then it's just guys getting non-tendered, and that pile of pitchers gets bigger every year. I don't know if we've tracked that. I would love to do a study on that, how big the free agent pool has gotten, particularly with pitching and right-handed pitching, where almost everybody is signing one-year deals outside of the very, very tippy top. So I just think there's a compounding effect, and then there's too many. It's like musical chairs, except there's not enough chairs, and then we get down to this time, and it gets sketchy, and it's kind of shitty. But that's the result of people becoming so much better. That there's a lot of competition out there. Luciano DFA'd by Yankees, 5th time for him this offseason. Does that sort of thing mess with the player's head? Yeah, I mean, it's torture. You don't know who wants you, who doesn't want you. You're dying to stay on the 40-man and get an opportunity with someone, but you're just banging your head against the wall. 5 DFAs in 1 year is insane. Thoughts on Will Warren? I think he's good. I think Will Warren, had an up and down season last year. He wasn't going to be, the trusted starter. They ended up giving Heel the start against the Blue Jays. But Will Warren has some really good stuff. I think he ultimately has to improve his fastball command. That will make him a lot better. But you know what? A 4.44 and 162 and a third with more strikeouts than innings pitched first time through is not bad. Like, it's not horrible. He's got a couple really good breaking pitches. His fastballs, I love the fact that he's got real separation between his four seam and his sinker. He gets that changeup below the zero line at times. So he's kind of the forgotten man because on the Yankees, we expect everybody to be an all-star. But I think Will Warren's on an upward trajectory, man. He's only 26 years old. This is right about the time that it starts to click in, your brain's fully developed. I think, now he had one run through the league. He gets to come back, making adjustments, and it's going to be exciting to watch what he does. And I'm hoping he gets plenty of opportunity this year on this staff. Probably at the moment, he might not be in the projected rotation because of Weathers, although I guess he'd be in there at the moment because Cole and Rodon are hurt. But I'm a big Will Warren supporter. I'm curious to see how this works out. Yeah, they have him in the 3 spot for now, so he'll be getting starts. Basically, it's up to him to shove, and then remain in that rotation when the big dogs get back. But I like Will. Really good kid too. Really good kid. Southern boy. All right, what else we got here? There are ambidextrous pitchers. There's a prospect in the minors. What's his name? He's a Mississippi State guy, Mariners first rounder. Somebody might have it. Yeah, Mariners ambidextrous guy. There was also a guy back in the day that actually pitched in the big leagues a little bit that threw with both arms, which is crazy. Lots of top prospects got spring training invites this year. How many of them actually have a shot at making the roster? Usually not that many, but some teams nowadays, they'll move you a little faster if they think you have a real shot, because remember, there's that incentive now that can get you more assets like draft picks and stuff if you hit on like a rookie of the year or something that was up the whole year. So there's a little bit more team incentive to move guys quicker, but still not that many. Even though there's top prospects, still not that many. Yeah, here it is. Durangelo Cligente, or whatever, how you ever say his name. He's the switch pitcher for the Mariners. Very intriguing guy. Maybe we'll take a 2-second detour to watch him on YouTube for a second, just so you guys can see him do his thing. How do I spell this one? Durangelo. Yeah, here it is. Durangelo Cligente highlights.
Sail across the oceans in one of the world's most.
I don't want to watch an ad. Nobody wants to watch an ad. I got to really pay for that YouTube premium, huh? Yeah, Pat Venditti was the one I was thinking about. He was the one who actually did it in the show. Okay. So I think we're about to see him. Here he is, throwing from the left side. Durangelo Cligente at Mississippi State. He was a really good pitcher. It's also just really cool. Sinjay? Okay. Durangelo Sinjay. It's just a really cool thing to do. I mean, I always struggled right on left. Imagine if I could have switched around lefty and ripped some lefty sweepers. I mean, man, that would have been dope. Ooh, first pitch, little sinker out there from the left side. Give me a righty hitter next. Once you try 1 week with YouTube Premium, it's impossible to go back. The wife's been begging me, so we don't have to hit skip all the time on my son's truck videos. But, I'm gonna mute this real quick because there's no point in the sound. See, now he goes right-handed. So legit. He's got such a cool custom glove. This must be a switch hitter, Velasquez, so the hitter gets to ultimately choose. So he must feel in a switch hitter situation, maybe he's a little better right versus left. I do think that this is a good question by Zane here. I do think that the college development program colleges have so much money pumped into them. They have such great labs, and you have a little bit more time to work on things under the hood in college because it's not a game every day, right? So yeah, I do think at times you can really, really develop now at the college level, and we're going to see even more of that as we move forward, because with the contraction of the minor leagues, a lot more good players are going to end up in college. I actually think the college product is getting better and better and better. And that brings me to one of my last things, actually, that I thought was fun yesterday. I'm done watching Durangelo here. Durangelo at this moment. But it brought me to something that I thought was fun. And what it was I saw somebody post that there was an argument over who had the greatest college baseball season of all time. Here are the candidates. Number 1, Lance Berkman, 1997 Rice, 431, 538, 1.031 slugging. He slugged over 1,000. 41 dingers, 134 stakes, Dick Hauser Trophy, Player of the Year, All-American, WAC Player of the Year. Don't believe he won the Golden Spikes. But that was Berkman's season. Now, I should remind you, when he played in like 1997, you used a drop 5 bat. So this was a lethal weapon in his hands. So to me, even though it's no fault of his own, it's a little bit of a deadly weapon in his hands. Like you're literally using a -5, which is insane, with a big barrel. So that's candidate number 1. Candidate number 2, and one of my personal favorites, Khalil Green. This guy was iconic at Clemson, along with Jeff Baker and Michael Johnson. They were the number 1 team in the nation. This is when I was really locked in on college baseball. Khalil Green was a Rookie of the Year with the Padres. He had long, flowing hair. He was a hippie out of South Carolina. Obviously, Clemson's in South Carolina. This was his season. 470, 552, 877 as a shortstop. Golden Spikes Award winner. Player of the Year everywhere. Had an iconic swing where he stood straight up and down and just annihilated balls. I actually had the pleasure of playing with Khalil Green in AAA with Memphis. Now, he was a little bit depressed at the time and was doing some stuff that was very sad to see, but absolute legend, absolute friggin' legend this season in Clemson. So he's candidate number 2. Candidate number 3, another drop 5 big barrel warrior from 85, Pete Incaviglia. This guy did play in the big leagues. This is the most absurd season I think you'll see on here. 464, 594, 1.140 slug, 48 home runs, 143 RBIs. Mind you, they only played like 60 games probably. 143 stakes for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. So obviously I wasn't there to watch this, but these numbers are a joke. All right, next one. Jack Caglione. We all know about this guy because he just got to the big leagues. He's included mainly because of the two-way aspect. He hit 419, 544, 875 with 35 bombs, but he also pitched. Didn't put up a great ERA, but he was throwing like 97 from the left side. So I wouldn't vote him number 1, but obviously a dynamic two-way player and an exciting guy. Next on the list, J.D. Drew, Florida State. Another very similar season, another drop 5 bat era, 455, 604, 961 with 31 homers and 100 arbs, 32 steals. Did it all, scored 100, got 100 hits, won the Golden Spikes. Pretty iconic player, him and his brother Stephen Drew at Florida State. So that's another candidate. Next candidate, Brandon Larson, another one of these drop 5 era bats. 97 LSU guy, 381, 430, 865, 40 home runs. He wouldn't be my vote, but this guy obviously mashed. He was also the College World Series outstanding player as LSU won the title. John Olerud, two-way player at Washington State, one of my favorite big leaguers ever, and this is a rare shot of John Olerud without the helmet on his head. 464, 539, 876, also went 15-0 on the bump with a 2.49 ERA, 113 Ks, 122 and 2/3 as a pitcher. So this is up there because this is a joke. Player of the Year, Baseball America. I mean, obviously one of the best hitters and one of the best pitchers. So this is Shohei, but better in the college game. Washington State. What a joke. Next up, Pat the Bat, Pat Burrell. Absolute savage. 484, 609, 948 at the U. 23 bombs, 64 RBIs. First freshman to lead the nation in batting average. So this was as a freshman, Pat the Bat. Very legendary personality if you ever heard anything about him, but he's a possibility. Paul Skeens, 13-2, 169, 209 Ks, and 122 and 2/3. Most of us actually are at the right age to actually have watched Paul Skeens do this. He was obviously amazing. SEC is really hard. He shoved all the way through, all the way to the title. So he's a very good candidate for this. Obviously, we're a little biased probably because we've seen how well he's panned out in the big leagues too. But yeah, he played 1 year at LSU, and it was electric. Oh my God, Wives of Philly. This is about Pat the Bat. Oh God. All right, Charlie Condon, current Rockies minor leaguer. Guy came out of nowhere, basically a college walk-on, to eventually, win the Golden Spikes. 433, 556, over 1,000 slugging, 37 bombs with the BB core bats. So the 37 bombs here is more impressive than those drop 5 trampoline bats I was talking about before. So this was a hell of a season from Charlie Condon. Steven Strasburg. Now, this might be my vote for the pitching side of things. 13-1, 132 ERA, 195 strikeouts. He had like a 21 strikeout game during this season. He was unbelievable. This is when he burst on the scene. Obviously, we all know about his major league career, but this guy was a fascinating guy to watch, and pretty much a legend of the college game. Here's another legend of the college game, Robin Ventura, who had the hit streak. 50 NCAA record 58 game hitting streak, hit 428, 536, 768 with 21 home runs. Contact hitter, had a great career, got choked out by Nolan Ryan, headlocked by Nolan Ryan, but I loved him as a White Sox, as a Yankee. I always actually used to emulate his swing quite a bit. Natural hitter. Mark Pryor, 2001 USC. This is when I first became aware of college baseball. I watched him pitch, I believe in a super regional game, maybe a finals game, but we all know about him. He was a quick riser, great pitcher for the Cubs, got hurt, and really never came back. Now he's pitch coach for the Dodgers. This season for USC, he was a man among boys. 15-1, 169 ERA with 202 punchies and 138 2/3. Golden Spikes Award, Dick Hauser Trophy, Baseball America, College Baseball All Player of the Years. So he's a great candidate as well. Next, that is it. So that is it from what they listed. I wanted to also throw 2 more names into the hat, because I watched these guys. They were contemporaries of me. So I just went back to look at the Golden Spikes winners all time. And 2 names of my era really stand out here for their seasons. Number 1 is Tim Lincecum, my good buddy, who I played with in the Cape League. We all know about his big league career. This was his year when he won the Golden Spikes. 125 and a third with 199 punchies and a 194. Basically throwing complete games the whole time. So I would like to nominate him, but really the guy that I think, ooh, what did I just do? No. All right, we got it. We'll get it right back. The one that I wanted to highlight, because people have forgotten about how dominant this dude was Mr. Jared Weaver at Long Beach State. 144 innings, 15-1, 1.63 ERA, 213 punchouts and 21 walks. He was basically the National Pitcher of the Week every week this season, throwing from his cross body angle, with he's just a huge guy, and I think that you saw that play out with the Angels. But, he was basically in his prime already when he was in college, and he was dicing everybody. And yes, Maya Dirtbag Baseball. Jeff McNeil, Troy Tulowitzki, Brian Shaw, Evan Longoria. The list goes on. A lot of really good players from the Dirtbags. But this guy was arguably the best. Arguably the best. So anyway, I wanted to throw those 2 names in the hat. But those are kind of those are the guys. Those are the ones. Those are all the best college players of all time. I thought that was an interesting thing. College seasons of all time. I thought that was interesting to run down. And pretty fun. Pretty fun overall. All right. Well, you heard the wife earlier. I have to go take them to the doctor and have time to then get back and still go do my throwing. So this is going to be a shorter stream. We're going to come up on about an hour and a half here, and that's it. We explored Roki. We did some stuff in the chat. Overall, pretty light show today. But we'll be back on Monday. Hopefully some more stuff happens. And we're getting closer and closer and closer here. Pretty soon we're going to get the full WBC roster reveal. I think that might even be our next stream. It's either going to be Monday or Wednesday. We'll go on with that. And, continue to break down anything you guys want in the chat. So thanks for hanging with me today. Have a great weekend. Stay warm if you're anywhere in the freaking tundra or wherever the whole northern part of this country right now. Into Canada, I'm sure it's even colder. So stay safe out there. Stay warm. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great day. See you guys.